I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans.
And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field.
Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the Marching Band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Welcome to Let Him Cook, fresh off of the Iowa State-Utah game as Iowa State moves to 3-0 in Big 12 play. Nigel, always a pleasure. How's it going, my man?
It's going good. Can't complain. It's a late Tuesday night, but wouldn't want to spend it any other way than talking ball with my guy Dill. So
was supposed to kind of be a blockbuster night in college basketball, but we had a lot of blowouts. Tennessee got mollywopped by the Florida Gators, walked into there and walked out with a big L. No more undefeated teams left in college basketball. What are you smelling?
Smell some frauds.
Okay.
There's an imposter among us. And
I think there was an unwritten rule that the best teams in college basketball were Auburn, Iowa State, and Duke. I would say in that order, even though Tennessee's been ranked number one what feels like most of the season. But everyone kind of knew that, like, I think between Auburn, Iowa State, and Duke, those are like kind of the three teams that have separated themselves. At least that's what I feel like.
Oh yeah, no, right before I hopped on with you, that was the immediate thought I had in my head. I thought two ways of it. First of all, my first thought was like it's like they're the guys that already got seats at the Final Four, and it's like who's going to be the lucky guy to join us? That's how I look at those three teams because they're just handling everybody now with remote ease. Iowa State didn't play the best tonight, but again, TJ has mentioned that we have not played our best game yet, which is scary for other people. I'm not gonna lie, but like if you take logistically like numbers, it goes Auburn, us, Duke. But if you take in schedule strength, like most people do consider come tournament time, I would probably put Duke in front of us just because they had a juggernaut of an end of November into December kind of transition. And don't mind you, we played Marquette. Like we had it hard too. We went to Maui. But I think for not going to like a multiple team event, I think Duke was like, give us the whole meal, please. Cause like to turn around to go from, and it's honestly like a bit of faith. It's like fate, obviously, but also too just a little bit of just John Shire being a sicko and saying, "Give me the best teams you got." Like they went from Kentucky, Kansas to Auburn within the span of 3 weeks. Like that is, I think Iowa State fans would have a heart attack if that was our first month of the year. And I think if we keep on this pedigree, we might get to those type of status-esque games come later. But if you take schedule into consideration, I think Duke has the upper hand on us. But again, we are the top three teams to sit at the Final Four table right now. Again, it's January, it's early, but that says a lot. Like it's really evident right now.
I will say at the end of the year, though, like Iowa State will definitely have a better strength of schedule than Duke because the ACC is dog water this year. We were talking about this a little bit before we got on the pod, but the bottom of the ACC is abysmal this year. And the Big 12 might not be as good as it has been the last 2 years, but there are some quality teams. You got Houston, Kansas, Arizona looks really good. Now, all of a sudden, now that Big 12 play has started. Yeah. So, I mean, Iowa State will definitely have going into this game, they were top 100 in strength of schedule on KenPom. I haven't looked to see what it is now, but like I said, I think those are the top three teams. Auburn is going to go through a gauntlet in the SEC. They're handling Texas right now, but I think, like we said, those are kind of the three teams that are looking at the 1 seed line and will probably, barring anything crazy, those are kind of the 1 seeds. And then, like you said, there's kind of that wild card position on who's going to step up. But let's start with Baylor here, Nigel.
Real quick, so I didn't mean to cut you off, but since we're on this subject, Who is your wild card? Because I have my answer, but I want to see what yours is.
You say yours first. I'm gonna have to think about it a little bit.
This it's gonna sound like hype beast recency bias, but honestly, like wholeheartedly, I think Florida could get really lucky and really hot come March. I to see how they handled today, and obviously they've just been a bit more tested than Tennessee. If not them, here my two picks are Florida and Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois is a sneaky one,
and it's just like every year there is a team like that. It's like maybe, but they just still end up at the Final Four. I think those two teams have just that vibe this year. I don't know how to explain it, like articulate it in the best way, but I don't want to compare them to the NC State Cinderella run last year because that kind of came out of nowhere. That waited till conference tournament time to happen. But I just feel like they just have that kind of aura about them of a team that can get hot in March. Now, mind you, Illinois beat the dog water out of Oregon a few days ago, so that's kind of what gave me the confidence to say that's a potential kind of just Final Four team. But also too, like I don't want to give off the too easy picks. Florida at to a degree seems like too easy of a pick, but Illinois is like the dark horse. Like if they get hot, they got some boys over there that I think can really make some noise come March. But who do you have?
My Final Four pick is, well, let me start with the 1 seed. I think my 1 seed would be Marquette. Basically just because the Big East, a little bit down this year. Creighton, Pop Isaacs getting hurt. St. John's, they're good. I don't think they're good enough to win the Big East. So I think basically just based off of who Marquette has to face, and quite honestly, that would look at for Iowa State, having a head-to-head win over another 1 seed. My pick for a Final Four run, they lost tonight to Georgia, but Kentucky's offense, when it's going, like Pope really kind of assembled some Avengers in the transfer portal. Otega Oweh is really good. Colby Brea is just a dead-eye three-point shooter. The only thing is their defense isn't really up to like a championship team level. But if they're really hot in March, that offense can put up points against anyone. And they beat Florida over the weekend. So, yeah, they're a good team.
I just feel like that was the big question mark with me for Kentucky is their defense, and that's why like even when they went to go play Duke early on in the year, the narrative was they can't defend. So I thought they're going to be similar to the BYU team, and honestly they are. But like we thought the BYU team was going to make a big run last March. What happened? Yeah. So
the only thing, this Kentucky team a little more athletic than that BYU team. You're right. Otega Oweh was not suiting up for BYU last year. That guy. He's not going to lead Kentucky in scoring, but he can go on a 10-0 run by himself. Like when he heats up, he goes unconscious. He looks like a top 5 pick in the NBA when he has it going.
Yeah, no, they're good. And they don't even have a Krista? What's his name?
Yeah, he's hurt. Kerr Krista. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So they're I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but I just don't have a lot of faith in them. The Final Four is weird. There's like 3 teams that are supposed to be there that like earned it, and there's always that one team that has no business being there, but they're there. And that's why I'm so fond of Illinois, because I think they just have that kind of je ne sais quoi
it factor.
Yeah, the it factor of March. Kind of like I don't want to compare them exactly to this team, but the 2018 Loyola team, like the team that had no business there, but they're there. What are you gonna do about it? Someone's got to play them now. Like, so I feel like Illinois definitely has some gas in the tank, but I do think the other 1 seed come this March is probably going to be Florida. I really like them this year.
Yeah. That SEC could certainly get 2. I mean, that league is really good this year. Really fun to watch. As much as I want to hate that the Big 12 has kind of been dethroned as the best conference in college basketball, the SEC is going to be so fun to watch all year. You have matchups with like Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Auburn. I mean, that whole conference is so deep that there's just good matchups every night for SEC conference play.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree. I do know we went on a bit of a tangent, ladies and gentlemen. We're sorry, but let's get into some Cyclone basketball because the people are going to get mad.
We got to lock in here, Nigel. We got to lock into Baylor. I was lucky enough to be there the day before my birthday. 26 now, Nigel. Not a lot of like cool things
Off the
happen
parents'
anymore
insurance.
Yeah,
Fun time
that's
is
about
over.
the one thing.
That's nuts.
So trying to stay healthy. This year.
Take your vitamins. You're gonna need them.
But within the
God.
building for Hilton Coliseum, my second game this year. Is that right? Second or third? I was there for Marquette, there for Baylor. Anyways, but the Baylor game, CBS in-house, man, I just like, no one does college basketball better than CBS. The way they broadcast it, the way it looks, the way it's produced, the graphics, there were some really good graphics. It was like 14 degrees outside. Baylor had made 14 made field goals like halfway through the second half. Like, they just get it. They understand college basketball. They understand the moment, the team, the arena. Bill Raftery on the call is just golden. So a great game, whether you were in the building or whether you were watching it at home. Looked like a sellout. I'm not sure if it was an official sellout, but there was not too many seats open. Just
I believe all
kind
of them
of
were sold out, weren't they? Like all the home games were sold out this year.
I don't know. I think Baylor was a sellout. It looked like tonight was not a sellout. Some of these games during winter break, especially like when Utah comes to town, like that's not really getting the people going.
I forget it's winter break, but I feel like they count that like just by ticket sales. Like I feel like the tickets were bought, people just didn't go.
It's not an attendance-based thing. That's how like Nebraska football, not to get super off track, but Nebraska football, they've got like a billion sellouts in a row. It's like, shut up. I see like a whole section empty up there that you try to give away for free. I digress.
You lost to Colorado. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But kind of the same stories tonight. Just like really struggled, and you kind of called him out. That Norchad Omier is a hell of a rebounder, man. Like that guy can get into position and is really good at adapting once the ball comes off the rim, because he was really active on the offensive glass in the first half. I will say, though, he was settling for three-point shots left and right, and he had like 5 made three-pointers going into the game, and he shot 6 of them. So those numbers don't really match up.
He's a little too swole for my liking to be pulling from deep. It's like Rodman taking contested transition threes. It's like, dude, know your place. But also Omier, it feels like the 2023 Final Four when he was with Miami was yesterday, but it's already been going on 2 years, which is crazy to think about. Someone needs to check his birth certificate, because I know there's a lot of old dudes in college basketball, but he just looks 32. He looks like he has a family at home. He looks like the guy Carlos from the Benchwarmers. Paper, he's I am 12 with the green crayon. He's got documentation. No, he doesn't. Check his birth certificate, please. I can't. He's way too big for anybody on that floor. He made Deshaun Jackson at times look little. Like that's unreal. Yeah, he needs somebody needs to check his birth certificate.
If you were to tell me he was on his 3rd contract in the NBA and I had no idea who the guy was, I would probably believe you.
If you told me he played for the Spurs right now with his other former Bear, Sochan, I would believe you. Yeah, he's a dog, but dog or not,
grown ass man.
It didn't matter, because Milan Momcilovic was like, hey, homeboy, step outside real quick. Let me show you this raindrop. Man, what a day. What a Saturday to be in Hilton Coliseum. That was that Baylor game.
And I am sure that I about called it like the buzzer beater he missed. He didn't miss it, but he just made it like a half second too late. Yeah. In Waco last year. I'm sure that was on his mind. Oh, yeah. And 4 for 7 from 3, had a really good game. One of his best games of the year. Colorado and Maui, and then probably that Baylor game have been Milan's 2 best games. Also, I don't know if this is the time for that conversation. I think Milan could be a 3-year, maybe even a 4-year guy. I think when he got to town, I mean, like I really think he could be kind of the scorer that we need next year when Keyshawn graduates. Curtis Jones, have you been paying attention to this JUCO eligibility rule? Have you been seeing that at all?
Excuse me. I thought TJ mentioned something about it along the lines of like he understands like kind of the options Curtis has after this year. And I think he said that Curtis even knows now. It's just a matter of like, I think he's leaving it up to him. He wants it to be his choice. But I think there's a big potential that we also return Curtis if he's willing to use the JUCO year. Because I think anyone who played JUCO can get that additional year of eligibility, which it's like they're trying. It's like the NCAA. Like that's great because we could get Curtis back, but it's like the NCAA is trying to piss me off because I already went on a bunch of tangents. I've talked to my mom about this. I've talked to anybody who will listen. I'm so sick and tired of people my age. I have to get up every day at 5:30 to go to work like a grown man, and there are people my age still in college playing basketball. Some may say I'm jealous. Others may say I'm a realist. It's time to give it up. Except for Curtis Jones, you can come back, please. If you
in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, Miami had a tight end that was older than me. I'm 26. Nigel, I could have been a doctorate and I would have graduated from college by now.
And you know what's crazy? It's the guys like that. They'll stay 9 years, use all the red shirts in the world, and they'll be a communications major.
Yeah. What do we do?
Dog, I was a communications major. I did that in half the time. You don't have to do all this.
Yeah.
If you just keep getting hurt in a sport, that's maybe a sign from the heavens or whoever you believe in that it's time to wrap it up. Let me get my resume in line. Let me get on LinkedIn. Because let me tell you this: in the job market alone, you being a Division I athlete, you saying, "Oh, I played so and so. I played this at so and so university." People, you're gonna be in like everyone's top 5 for as candidates. They just want the clout to be like, oh, he comes from a competitive background, especially if you're in like sales. Like they eat that stuff up. Corporate America loves athletes, so don't be so afraid to use your brain going forward. Because guys, it's just we're getting off on another tangent. I'm sorry, but old guys in college basketball, they piss me off because it feels like everyone now is Perry Ellis. You know, it's just when is enough going to be enough? Except for Chris Jones. I'm not talking about you. If you want to come back, please do.
One of my favorite pastimes is just clicking on, I'll be watching a game, I go to ESPN, click on the roster, because everyone's a transfer now. So some guy's having a good game, I'll click on him, see what team he was at last year, see what team he was at a year before that. Dog, so many guys went to JUCO. So, I swear to God, 50% of major D1 college basketball players, dipped their toe in a JUCO somewhere. And now they're going to get a year, maybe 2 years of extra eligibility. Like you said, here's the thing. There's only so many spots in the NBA. There's, so many spots overseas. If these guys want to, make some NIL money, more power to you. But, yeah, we're looking at a team. Let's think. Taman, Keyshawn graduates, probably Curtis Jones starting, you would think, unless he really is just married to the six-man idea. And then you have Milan, who I think could really go up in scoring output with the absence of Keyshawn, and then Jefferson and Jackson are both back. Chatfield's back. Heisey's back.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the only transfer, I think Chatfield's gone. Heisey's back.
What?
Yeah, we don't lose. Keyshawn and Chatfield, I think, are the only two guys right now that we lose for sure. Transfer portal's always the thing.
If God loves Iowa State, we could win back-to-back national titles. I'm just saying. Okay?
Put it out there.
That's not a crazy thing to say anymore. I really truly believe that. But continue. That's insane.
Let's go back again. We're getting sidetracked here. Let's go back to the Baylor game for a little bit. Second half looked much better. The thing that I've kind of been noticing about these Iowa State games, they're boring, but they're dominant, especially in the second half. We've kind of been a second half team during conference play. Kind of put Colorado to bay in the second half. Baylor got packed up and sent home. Utah tonight. So this team in the second half has really adjusted to what they've struggled with in the first half. I do want to bring up about the Baylor game. Didn't force a lot of turnovers against Baylor, who has some really good guards. Jeremy Roach, your boy, a good freshman backcourt. Edge comes kind of a wing guard combo
forward.
But didn't turn him over a lot. But TJ, and I love this, I think a lot of great coaches, sometimes rightfully so, become really stubborn and just kind of stuck in their ways. And TJ was like, we decided, hey, we're not going to trap like on high ball screens. We're not going to send traps as much because we want to keep Omir out of the paint. So we're gonna kind of play drop coverage, keep him in front of us, make him shoot long jumpers, make him shoot threes, and that literally like.
And he was getting them up.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, that like it literally the way they drew it up is exactly what happened. So just like credit to the game plan. And then the other thing that made me laugh about the post game presser, Scott Drew, one of the first things he said was, "I'm just glad we didn't lose by 40." So I mean, when those are like kind of the two things, your head coach, Iowa State's head coach, is saying, this is our game plan. We executed the hell out of it, and the other coach is like, "I'm just happy we didn't lose by 40." I'll let you decide what way the game went in the Iowa State Baylor game.
That's like getting the crap kicked out of you, and you're like, "Thank God I still have my wallet." Like, what, bro? Also, to put into context, that's a man who just won a national championship 3 years ago, and we had him speechless. That's the position we want to be in this year. John Reichstein, shout out to my boy, because he used to make me angry. Like
he still kind of makes me angry sometimes.
He makes me angry at times, but he's getting like the more he starts to buy into the clones, the more I start to buy into him.
Yeah.
He tweeted out the most beautiful tweet I've ever seen with my two eyes. He said, "The Big 12 this year runs through Hilton Coliseum." And I mean, can I get an amen? Cue the gospel choir, please. Jesus. This is, again, like I've said, it feels like a fever dream sometimes, like this season so far. And just, I guess, kind of the immediate respect we're getting from the nation is very foreign, because a lot of people would see us in years where it was Brockington and Kalsher leading the show, especially coming off that 2-22 year. Like, Iowa State's not going to make any noise. The people like Brad Davidson was laughing when he saw our name that we advanced and beat LSU. And it just to see, like I say this over and over again in every episode, to see the jump we've made, like it's insane. Like how people have just kind of bowed down this year is unreal. But lo and behold, I mean, we've earned it at the end of the day. Yeah. Like it has really been on us, and goes to a great game plan, but also great execution from our guys like Milan. Lights out. Keyshawn, double. Dog, I didn't know you were Wembenyama. Like, what are we doing here? Like every day there's something new about this team that I find out, and each game, like they kind of show you something that you didn't know, or they kind of just like put the stamp on something that you kind of had hesitant feelings on. Like Heisey, I feel like despite him not having, a 10-point game like he did a few games back, like he goes in there and makes such a difference. He makes winning plays. He'll make one really good pass that'll make people start to worry about him because of what he can do as a playmaker. Like there's just so many things that we can do now. It's unreal. It's no longer like a one-man show or a one-man pony when it was like Tyrese Halliburton and just Razier running the shows. Like it was very predictable, and now we've just become like, the only predictable thing is we're probably going to win, and we're probably going to play really hard. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
We have, I said this before we started rolling too, like I think we really have 6 guys that can give you 15 points, and you just don't really know which guy is going to do it that day. Like more often than not, one of them's probably going to be Curtis or Keyshawn, but it could be Taman, it could be Jefferson, it could be Jackson, it could be Momcilovic. Like you don't know where it's coming from. And I think that's just a huge advantage, especially come March, because it's like, a lot of teams, like you said, it's like you got one guy that's their guy, lock in on him. That's where the offense runs through. If we can cut the head off the snake, we've got a 6-headed snake. I don't know what you try to take away, because as soon as you take away Momcilovic, you run him off the line. Well, now Curtis is like 6 feet behind the 3-point line, and he's going to drain one.
Whack. Like what, dude?
Or you stop Keyshawn, and then Taman Lipsey's going to drop 20 points like he did tonight. So you never know, and we're going to probably have 4 guys in double figures almost every single game.
And what I find so funny too about tonight, at least, the stopping Keyshawn is he still ended with 15 points.
Right,
like
that's an off game.
That's a bad day. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take 5 more, please. It's like I think it's as simple as this. It is we are in uncharted territory, and for once in my life as a Cyclone fan, I love it. I love every second of it. Yeah. And man, life's good. Life like this sure is sweet.
The one thing also about Baylor, I don't think until they played us, they not only we held them to 55. Please hold 55.
Yeah,
hold Utah to 59 tonight. Baylor held to 55. They scored 70 points or more in every other game. So to hold a really explosive offense to 55 points, Baylor was down a couple of bench players but I think combined they scored 12 points. Like the two guys, I think one's averaging like 7, the other one's averaging 5. So like that wasn't the difference in the game.
No.
At the end of the day, you held a really explosive offense to 55 points. And like again, in the second half, just took care of business. And Jeremy Roach really struggled until like the last 4 minutes when Iowa State, let's be honest, let a little bit off the gas, and then Jeremy Roach kind of filled it up. But
that's when he's most dangerous, though. Like that's the thing.
When he's down 20 points.
No. He's a second quarter guy. Like he's not. His big plays are not going to come in the first half. It's always going to be second half. I mean, we saw it earlier this year in Atlantis. Like he had that huge game winner. Like 5 seconds left, just heaved it up at the rim, and it was nothing but nylon. Like he just has that capability to hurt you, but also hurt you from all 3 different levels. I've seen him dagger somebody from the 3, the midi, and the layup. The layup was on Razir Bolton. I'm like, you can't make this up. It's unreal.
I will say it was shades of Chris Paul hits a huge 3 to cut the lead to 40 points because Jeremy Roach was playing good all of a sudden, but the game was well over.
Well, since we're on the conversation with Russ, I want to give a shout out to Taman because that block he had coming down, like contested the shot. So Roach had to adjust, but then comes down and swats it. Like the defensive awareness on that kid, it doesn't matter. Like Taman is the only guy who I will excuse for not consistently getting into double figures because he's gonna make up for it in some other avenue, and he continues to do that each and every game. Like that is the epitome of, I feel like if I got on a planet right now and someone was like, what is Iowa State basketball? I'd be like that. And I know that's like, given a bit of context, you're like, I see the vision. I understand now. This is everything.
It's a very niche kind of like small play in the grand scheme of things. But when you're doing that like on a nightly basis, not that exact play, but like just 3 to 4 to 5 plays where it is just a key winning, like the difference of 2 or 4 points on a 4-point swing, like those add up so quickly. And Taman Lipsey might be, just in terms of a winning basketball player, like pound for pound, one of the best in the country right now.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
He just affects the game in so many ways.
Yeah, and again, 6 points, 4 personal fouls, not his best outing, but he's like, how can I make up for this? And he finds a way
little
every time. And honestly, that's a play that like I feel like TJ is just like rewinding in film. Just to prove a point. Like, I don't care, guys, if you go like Curtis, it's great when you go out there and score 20 points. But if I find out you can do this too on the defensive end, I'm gonna have a heart attack. Like, I just feel like those are the things that he kind of talks about and emphasizes in those huddles. It's why guys like Heisey come out and play so hard and just focus on making winning plays. It's why guys like Chatfield come out and just do the dirty work because they know that the little things matter. I feel like when you're one of your best core guys, your leader on the floor, can make plays like that, that wakes up the kind of utility dudes in the lineup of, okay, then I need to take my job super seriously because it's going to add a different element to our team, and it has this year.
Yeah. And just a couple other just like weird box score things like you were saying earlier in the show, just where like every game you kind of see something different. Joshua Jefferson, 8 assists in that Baylor game. Like you said, Keyshawn had 10 boards. Just like these guys are just capable of such odd stat lines, and I think it's really an outcome of how balanced the team is, that guys can just focus on different parts of the game because everything is covered. Like they aren't trying to make up for something. They aren't trying to like stop a boat from sinking. They're not constantly like, under pressure. It's just play your basketball. And that's where you get these weird stat lines. And like a Brant Chatfield 7 offensive rebound game. Like there's going to be stuff like that kind of every night where you're just like, he did what? And again, I was at the game. I would have never guessed that Keyshawn had 10 boards or that Jefferson had 8 assists. Like it just feels boring in the best way possible. Like, it feels like the game is out of reach, and then you get handed the sheet of paper in the press conference, and you're like, he did what? I was like, I watched every minute of that game, and I would not have guessed that.
Who they remind me of is the 2019 Virginia team.
Yeah.
And they won a national championship.
Except we can score. That's the thing. We can.
So could they.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
That's the most offensive heavy Tony Bennett team maybe ever. Like, they took Purdue to a double overtime, high scoring game. Like, they had the capability of scoring because they had NBA caliber guys in that team. And you had a three-headed snake in Hunter, Jerome, and Kyle Guy. And then you throw in a utility dude like Big Africa. What's his name?
Oh, he played for the Bucks.
Yeah, he had the blonde hair. Yep. Like Jack Salt too, big Aussie guy, 7-footer. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Chatfield. Like, it's just guys like that have the obviously you have some guys that have NBA potential. I look at Curtis and Keyshawn right now, and I think you can put those guys in the NBA somewhere, and they're going to find a way to get it out the mud. But a lot of those guys, like, I feel like they had that same makeup. And to be able to compare an Iowa State team to a national championship, champion team, not too long ago, guys, we're in a great position. Like, I will say that till I'm blue in the face. I don't care. Man, it's like you're dating a girl and you're still finding things out about her. It's like there's never a dull moment with you, is there?
It's the honeymoon phase.
I never want to get out of this. If this is the honeymoon phase, let's go.
And TJ being a Wisconsin guy, the Bennett family is kind of like Wisconsin royalty. I'm sure he would love to be compared to that 2019 Virginia team with Tony Bennett.
Oh yeah.
I just want to shout out Shannon Earhart in the press conference. It was Keyshawn and Meelan were at the podium, and she said, "What makes you guys so dangerous?" And Keyshawn and Meelan just looked at each other, and I know they just wanted to like really puff out their chest, but Meelan gave a really level-headed, like good diplomatic answer.
Yeah.
And I think if Keyshawn would have been the first one to speak, we would have got a viral. I don't know what he was about to say, but he wanted to be like, "Oh, we're dangerous." He knew this team knows what they're capable of. Is kind of what I'm getting at, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
They're fun to watch, and the media training is A+. Because I've seen Keyshawn on IG Live. He's a different dude.
Yeah,
he's a different guy. I wish, as a fan, we could see more of that on that podium. But I know Matt Schultz runs a tight ship over there, and they have those answers prepared and ready to go. But are they dangerous? The answer is yes, without a doubt. Yeah. They're dangerous because I think they looked at each other, and I think they know that too. Is like, it can be anyone's night. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just a matter of like preparation, and after that, get ready, pray, because that's all you're gonna have to do when it comes to playing Iowa State. Like, it's just different this year. Something about this year is just different, and I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it quite yet, but you can feel it. You can definitely feel it in the air.
And that's kind of what I was talking to my dad. I was over at my parents' house at the birthday dinner, and he was like, the Baylor game is kind of what made him be like, yeah, this team's different. Because even, the good Hoiberg teams, the good odds years that we've had already, they were prone for just like some dumb games where they just they had an off night for no real good reason. They just kind of look like a different team, or they're kind of playing down to the competition. Baylor's not a team that is going to get blown out a lot this year, if ever.
I mean, Gonzaga, but that was game one. I'll cut him some slack.
Yeah, that was basically in September. Is how long ago that game was.
That feels like a exhibition.
It does.
Game. It feels like a fever dream as well, just because it happened at midnight, so no one saw it. No one saw it live. We just saw Fu's son get knocked out.
Clearly, no one saw it, including me. But like I'm saying, like this Iowa State team, to your credit, it's different. They're moving different. They look confident. It's a grown man team. Like, these guys have been through some wars together already. The new guys don't look scared of anyone, and it's refreshing. I mean, this team looks the part. Like you said, I remember you talking about Maui, where it's like you can't look at the other teams and like be worried about what name is on their jersey. Like if you're going to be a top 10 team right now, a top 3 team, if everything stays solid, we should be a top 2 team next week.
Yeah.
And you got to move different. And so far, so good on that aspect.
Yeah, no. And again, it's the way you want to make a statement going into 2025 too. First game of the year, of the new year, I should say. And you just want to give, I feel for the kids who stay over break in early January. Just because, like, I know there's a few sickos that even stay in Ames for New Year's Eve, and like you feel for those people because those are the people that go to the games, and those are the people that are there that first week of January, and you just want to put on a show for them, man. Like staying in Ames over break when not everyone is there is not easy. Ames becomes a real drained, just regular town again, and gets it gets a lot more boring than it ever was in the school year. And I'm saying this because I obviously, as you know, I spent like half a summer at KCCI post graduation. So I saw, it was a shell shocking incident for me to see the real Ames, like what it's like in July. Like I never had seen it at that point. So I'm so happy to see that, you know, the people who stick it out and show up to those games, they're able to put on a show for them, because the Saturday was definitely a show. It was textbook. And like you said, I'm kind of glad we weren't the storm the floor team program, I should say, because we've had games worthy of storming the floor. I think even TJ's first win over Iowa was worth a court storm just because they had Keegan Murray on that team and whatnot. But it just feels like people are just kind of used to it now. Like, and that's what I was saying, like how you mentioned it earlier, like you do have to move like you've been there before, because otherwise you're going to get got. Like the second you start getting too frazzled and in the moment of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. Believe it, because you're here.
And I think other teams pick up on that kind of stuff too, where it's like they're happy to be here. They're not like they're not about this life. They're like happy that they're invited to the big boys table. They're a fraud. Like they're not really who they think they are.
Well, when I heard Peyton Sanford say that's the best team, that's one of the best teams in the country, I was like, oh, that boy's defeated.
Yeah,
that's a 515 kid, and he's waving the white flag.
That brother's starving.
I have nothing left in the tank. I am nothing. Oh my God.
Let's move on to Utah. Unless you got any last words on Baylor.
Jeremy Roach, sorry we had to do that to you, my boy. Stay strong, brother. Not a bad game, but it's nothing personal. It's just business.
Poach some garbage time shots. I'll say that about him. Iowa State, Utah tonight. Kind of a sleepy game, like an early January midweek game. Came out a little sleepy too. And it's kind of the same thing. We were getting owned on the offensive glass, and I know TJ was really harping on that after the Baylor game, so I can only imagine how ticked off he was at halftime about the offensive board numbers, especially a team like Utah who doesn't really have a dominant rebounder like O'Meara. We were just kind of getting out-hustled. We were kind of the lesser physical team in the first half. Until we went on that 10-0 run, and that could not have come at a better time. I really think that was kind of the turning point of the game. Iowa State was down, I think, 22-17, and 10-0 run. I think it was probably like an extended 17, 19-1 run. And after that, it was kind of like that was the knockout punch. Can Utah respond? Spoiler alert, they could not. So, again, just like a really solid response from being down 5, kind of being like, hey, we were favored by damn near 20 points. We're down 5 at home to Utah. Like, get it together.
When we talk about responding, I mean, I mentioned Taman didn't have his best game, and he was like, you know what? Nigel's probably going to bring this up on the pod.
I'm sure that was
something about this. He's like, I should first thought. Oh, it was. He was like, I probably should do something about this. You know what? Hold my beer. Hold this dub. 20 points. What a day for Lipsy. And he was getting to the rack. Like, miraculously looked kind of Russell Westbrook-esque when just tenacious ball of just Lipsy. It was awesome. And then on two, it helped that he was getting to the line and knocking down free throws. We know in his career he's not always been the best free throw shooter. But really finding his bread and butter, getting to the rack, and then knocking him down from the stripe, like that's gonna win you games at the end of the day.
For my Mario Kart players out there, when you're in like 12th place and you get the bullet power up, he can kind of, when he gets downhill, he is so just like compact that he's
like getting hit by a truck.
Yeah. I mean, these like tall, lanky dudes move back like 5 feet when he initiates contact. And it's not an offensive foul. It's just like that. It's like a 5'9" running back and like the low man wins kind of thing where it's like, I can't tackle this guy because he's at my kneecaps. Like I can't get to him.
Well, and had it not been for a broken kneecap, Tamin Lipsey was a biracial Lamar Jackson back in high school. Let us not forget he was nasty at QB at Ames High School. It was unreal. So to see how he's able to initiate contact, play through it, I mean, it just seems like that's kind of his bread and butter. But yeah, like obviously too, this we talked about earlier. Keyshawn having not the best game, 15 points on a bad night.
Yeah. For him. A bad night for him. Right.
Yeah. But like that, just on a bad night is crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like, imagine coming home and your parents like, how'd it go? I'm like, I had 15. I'm like, oh, that's good. He's like, this is a bad night. This is even better. You haven't even seen all the bag. just wait. But and then two, Curtis Jones being Curtis Jones. I wanted to bring this up. Is he fighting for? I feel like him and Keyshawn are right here.
Yeah.
Is he fighting for our best offensive player going forward?
I think it has become a 1A, 1B kind of a thing. I think in terms of like national, if a pundit has, 30 seconds to talk about Iowa State and he's going to pick a player to talk about, I still think it's Keyshawn Gilbert. Just, he's the starter. He was so good in Maui when everybody was watching us that I still think he's probably top of mind for like kind of the national landscape. But for Iowa State fans, I think it's clear that like our best scorer probably comes off the bench at this point.
Yeah. And again, that's insane. If you would have told me 3 years ago when Solomon Young checks in the game, he's going to have 20. What? Yeah. What are you talking about? Like, it sounds crazy. I don't know if when Caleb Grill had 29 against UNC 2 years or 3 years ago now, did he come off the bench?
I don't think so. We had like 6 guys on that entire team. We didn't even have enough guys for a bench. I think he started.
Okay. No, I think you're right. Because that was Holmes, Kalsher, Grill.
I think that would have been the year before Holmes, right? It would have been...
No, that was Holmes' year.
Yeah, you're right. It would have been the year.
It was 22, 23.
Yeah. Kalsher, Holmes, Grill, Coons. Yep.
And then, Shun. Duh. Forgot. Yep. No, but okay, that makes sense. If I think that would have been the next like closest guy, maybe. Because Grill, when healthy that year, had a lot of good games. It was just a matter of that back injury was kind of the spiral event that happened with his downfall at in Ames. But nonetheless, Curtis Jones has been lights out, and again, he's getting the national attention that he effortlessly deserves. I mean, it's unreal how he can pad a stat sheet and just get him up fast, man. Like when we need an answer, last like shot clock's dwindling down. He's over by the Pioneer logo. Doesn't matter. That's too much space. He gets to that Pioneer logo. He's like, this is close enough, and he pulls from deep. The guy is unreal, and I think that's why like I really do see NBA potential in not only him but also Gilbert. Just because, and who knows? I mean, if Lipsey really tunes up things on the offensive end and becomes a bit more consistent of a scorer, I don't see an NBA team denying someone like Lipsey who's going to play hard, run your team, play defense. Like the NBA is yearning for people like that. There's not been a gritty guard since I want to say prime Russell Westbrook. Like Russ is doing fine with the Nuggets, but he's not, his same prime self at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I never think the NBA is going to turn away guys with their type of talent. But yeah, they show it in these games, man. If one guy's having a down day, the other person is picking them right back up, and we're getting to the finish line in one piece. And I think that's what we did today, because our front court, it was a little shaky. Jefferson, he did his thing, but Milan and Deshaun were a little.
They struggled.
Yeah, they struggled, and that's okay. But again, I'm still waiting for that 5 guys double figures. When that happens, that's the perfect game. If TJ truly believes in his heart that they have not played the best game yet, I think that's what that game, when all of them have double-digit scoring, I think that's going to be the perfect game for this group.
Yeah.
Hopefully it comes in March.
No kidding. The other thing, Curtis Jones, I think I'm so happy that Iowa State doesn't have to play Iowa State, because I would hate Curtis Jones. I know Utah fans were seeing him kind of put up those floaters, those off-balance kind of mid-range, hunky-junky BS, and it was going in. And that's
I don't think Utah fans were watching this game. Respectfully. I think they were probably at church with their 7 moms and 7 dads. I don't think they were watching this game.
For those that were, I'm sure they are sick of Curtis Jones, because he makes such difficult shots on top of the ones that he should make, but he just has a nose for the basket. Like, that guy, it doesn't matter where it's coming from, what hand, 3-point shot, mid-range, at the rim, he can fill it up everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's unreal. I mean, and like you said, kind of how a roach can hurt you from all 3 levels, so can he. The mid-range is a little hit or miss, but I think if he can get to a point where it's he's such a threat from 3 that people are just desperately running him off the line, taking themselves out of the play, and he can knock down that elbow jumper, it's over. Because he's already got the floater on lock. It's going to get to that point where he's just literally unguardable. And I think games like this, where I thought the 20-point bench performances were really just early season games. It's Morgan State. It's another, worst team in the country type game that you just had that opportunity to go put up 20 off the bench. No biggie. But he's doing it against Big 12 teams. So let's not take this lightly. Even Baylor, a bad game for him is 14 points. And I wouldn't even call it a bad game. It was just that was a low scoring game for him, and it's still 14 points off the bench. I've never seen such it's no debate at this point. He is 6th man of the year for the Big 12. It's not even up for conversation.
The other thing just going forward, I trust this team. When they're down 5, when they're not playing their best basketball, I'm they'll figure it out. I've seen them figure this out. I've seen them rally. I've seen them go on 10-0 runs, 12-0 runs. I don't get nervous. The first couple of years of odds, just with how limited we were on the offensive side of the ball, when you got down 5 points, 7 points, 9 points, you're looking at the clock and being all right, we're going to probably score 60 points. They're at 52. We need to, they can't score anymore, and there's 12 minutes left. That was kind of the point you got at with those early TJ teams. And this year, it's they'll figure it out. It's not working right now. We're a little, we're not playing the style of basketball we want to play. I've seen this team do it before. I'm just at ease when I watch this team.
Well, it's funny you say that, man, because I think we had to take those lumps. As much as we talk about this team being different, I think that's it's part of development, and I think fans get too caught up in the moment, no matter what season it is. A few years ago, we didn't have the oomph that this team had, and that's almost part of the development when it comes to winning a national championship. I feel the years coming up to it, there's always a period of time where it feels like the dark ages. It feels like this is just never going to get better. You name any national champion, a few years prior to that championship happening, that team was not always in the best situation. Now, there are some anomalies like Kansas, who, despite winning in 2022, they were Big 12 champions for 19 straight years. So they're all right. We're not talking about them. But most national champions have this story of kind of overcoming adversity and hitting these lumps throughout the season. And if you look at the top 3 teams, we've all had it in different forms. Auburn was a very sneaky tournament team a few years back, but was never had the label as national champion. They keep a few core guys, do some work in the transfer portal, get a few good freshmen, develop those guys as well. Look where they are right now. They're undisputedly one of the scariest teams in college basketball. Same with us. We develop young. So not everyone stays. We keep whoever stays around, and then by the time we have a good core of 4 or 5 guys, all we got to do is fill in the spots with transfer portal. Boom, boom, boom. Good to go. Same with Duke. They've done the same thing. They keep getting freshmen, and we've had talks about this of freshman teams can't win anymore. I don't think that's necessarily true. I just think those young guys need the right group of older dudes. And there's a lot of Cyclones that have kind of fallen on that sphere of unlucky, unfortunate events for us in the odds era that won't, if we do get a Final Four, like deserve it so much, but they won't be able to be there. And I think of Shun, I think of Jazz, I think of Rob, like I think of Kalstra, I think of Holmes, I think of Grill too. Like there are so many people who kind of laid the foundation for what we are right now. And it's just crazy to see what we've kind of evolved into. But all good teams make this evolution. So it's almost like it's the beauty in the struggle. And now we're just reaping the beauty of the struggle. So I've said it over and over again, guys. Basketball's beautiful. College basketball is beautiful, but it's even better when you're sitting on top.
Yeah. Curtis Jones had a great soundbite. Speaking of kind of players showing their personality, he was like, losing sucks. He was like, I like winning. Winning feels great. And I mean, sounds simple. But it checks out. Winning feels good. And this Iowa State team 13-1 now, 3-0 in conference play. Let's talk very briefly, because between technical difficulties, I don't know really how much time this podcast is at right now. So we're going to just do a lightning round preview of Texas Tech in Lubbock. You and I both said this one smells like a trap game from 100 miles away. However, seeing us look human in the first half against Utah, the first 12 minutes or so, where it's like, hey, you can't sleepwalk through anyone in this conference, hopefully ratchets up the intensity that when we go to Lubbock, you take care of business, you're a top 2 team, and you have Kansas coming to Hilton Coliseum next week, and that's where shit's really going to pop off. I mean, that is the game I've had circled on my calendar since this thing got released. I want to see Hunter Dickinson get bodied by the ghost of Trey King for 40 minutes in Hilton Coliseum. I can't wait for that game. You got to get through Texas Tech first.
No, you're absolutely right. And I hope to God that we're recording this right now, Tuesday night, 10:30. But I hope to God TJ gives the boys tomorrow off. Just get one day of rest, and then the rest of the week you hit hard, and then you got to travel too. So you got to take that in accountability. I just think they need that rest, because otherwise, if not, it's bad things will happen in Lubbock, because they've happened before. And it does feel like a setup. More specifically, the 1 p.m. start. It's a little weird. I don't know. I don't like 1 p.m. starts.
I will say I always feel like it's hard for a home crowd to really be rocking at like 1 p.m. So I would rather play that game on the road than
Texas Tech has all these like gimmicks in the crowd. Yeah. They have the swag surf. Why they have that is beyond me. That's a conversation for another day. Yeah. But like they have little gimmicks. Like they have multiple juicy wiggles there.
Right.
So I feel like that can wake people up. But also too, the difference maker about this week is that this is the week when most people start to make that return back to school. And I don't know, if I'm a Texas Tech student, there's been nothing to be happy about when it comes to athletics this year. I mean, they are long gone from the Chris Evans Final Four team that was making noise and was a threat in college basketball. So that time is gone. So why not? Number 3 team in the nation's coming. We can potentially stop them from being number 2. Because hear me out. I don't know if Duke plays again this week, but if we lose on Tuesday, we're going to stay. I mean, on Saturday, excuse me. If we lose on Saturday, we're going to stay at 3, and no one can be mad about it. Like, we earned that. It is what it is. But I think there's going to be a lot of motivation for Texas A&M to just, like, obviously they know, like, their ceiling as a team is not very high, but there's a lot of motivation just to beat us, just to do it, because F State. Like, I just feel like that's their mentality going into this. I feel like a lot of Big 12 teams are going to have that mentality of, like, hey, we may not make the tournament, but let's try to make your journey to the tournament a little harder. And I feel like the bottom tier Big 12 teams are definitely going to crack into, like, just trying to be the guy who ruins the party. You know, and we can't let them crash our party. We're gonna walk in their trap, take over their trap. We're gonna pull up Blake Hinson, stand on the scoreboard. It's gonna rip his shirt off, do 10 push-ups, and we're gonna get the hell out of there.
And like you said, we keep talking about moving different. And when you're a top 3 team, you have a target on your back, especially when you go on the road. You're gonna get everyone's best shot. You're not the Cinderella, feel good story. You know, Otzelberger turned around a 2-20 team with the misfit toys and blah, blah, blah. No, you're not going to get anyone sleeping when number 3, whoever you are, comes to town. So yeah, you got to be ready, especially on the road in this conference. I feel really confident about Hilton. And the arena itself, I think, gives us 10 points. Like being at home is such an advantage. The way this home atmosphere works for Iowa State, being on the road is when we're going to be constantly tested this year, and you got to take care of business in Lubbock.
Without a doubt. And too, because we know the Big 12 whistle. It's never on our side. Like,
I was telling the refs my mind through the TV screen tonight. There was a couple whistles in the first half that I didn't appreciate. So exactly, when you're on the road, that is twofold.
Yeah, it's amplified without a doubt. So you really got to get through the jungle before you get to the promised land, which is back home. Kansas coming to your crib. And Kansas has been playing bad. Like, I'm going to be real honest.
Did you see them play UCF? Did you see the final score of that one?
It's UCF. That's last chance U. I'm not worried about them. Guys, like, let's be so serious right now. That's a JUCO team. Like, I'm sorry. I love Johnny Dawkins, but my God.
They looked really good against UCF. They looked like the team we thought they were.
I would hope they dropped, like, the last 4 games. So
yeah,
it's about time.
They've been struggling. You're right.
So this is a team. They're not invincible, okay? They've got, like, we beat them so many times with this core, with Dickinson, Adams. It feels like he's been there for 7 years. I'm tired of that
Juwan
kid.
Harris has been there forever.
Dude, I just hope to God we can beat them next Saturday. I'm getting ahead of myself. We do need to focus on Tech this week, but
next Wednesday. Texas Tech is Saturday. Kansas is Wednesday.
I'm thinking of last year where it was on a Saturday, and I'm getting too excited, so I do apologize. But Wednesday, I also too I think, because if I'm not mistaken, school will start the next week. That'll give people more incentive to get there earlier.
Yeah.
So Hilton Magic, if you're listening, please fill up the damn Coliseum. I don't ask for much. I just need you to do that. Okay. We need that place rocking. But first things first, we got to go on a business trip to Lubbock, Texas, and take care of some things.
And just a scheduling note, I would guess we'll record a pod Monday or Tuesday next week, recap Texas Tech, really do an in-depth preview for Kansas. And then depending on the Kansas game, I would love to do kind of an immediate reaction emergency podcast, depending on the outcome of that game. Hopefully a positive one, but we'll see. But I'm looking forward to really looking into Kansas and seeing what this team's about.
Yeah, because, I mean, with Kansas, it's getting to the point where if we lose, that might be a bad loss. Some could argue it's arguable that that's a bad loss. At home, if we was at Allen Fieldhouse, it's another ball game. But at Hilton,
I'm not ready to call. I mean, if you're going to lose to a team in the Big 12 at home this year, it's probably Kansas or Houston.
I'd take Houston over Kansas, but we can't lose to Kansas.
No, you're
Look
right.
me in the eye when I say that, okay? We can't. We won't.
Amen.
We won't lose to Texas Tech either. Let's just take care of business. End of story, please.
Winning is fun. Keep winning.
Why not keep doing it? You know, just do it. Like you don't even think about it, just do it. It can be that
winning.
It can be that easy.
Keep winning and let them cook.
Yeah, please.
That's all you got to do. All right.
Thank you guys.
Go Cyclones.
Let's go.